Let me know if you want any more of these. So this is a true history of our planet, very condensed, but I can recommend some books, etc. So there's a planet called Planet X, which is what NASA calls it, but it's actually called Nibiru, and that was written in the Book of Enoch, which was a book, not really a book, but more tablets, etc. Written a couple of thousand years before the Bible, and in fact was the original Bible. However, we've changed it. The only original Bible that's left is the Ethiopian, which is still the Book of Enoch, and it talks about a race called the Anunnaki, which are about 12 foot tall, and they came to Earth and they landed. That's why you see the Sumerian tablets. They landed in a place called Eridu, which is in old Iraq, which is near Egypt, which is why the history of those places are the oldest histories we've got. So if you want more, let me know, and I'm running out of time here, but I will carry on more. So following on from the Book of Enoch, which talks about the Nibiru planet, which has a 3,600 year elliptical orbit. That means the Anunnaki who live on it, for one of our years, is 3,600 there. So they could sleep here on Earth for 100 years, and to us it would, or to them it would be one night, but to us obviously it's 100 years. So they came here, and when they landed, the first thing they did on the first day was catalogue stuff. So the first thing they done was catalogue water, and the second day they catalogued plants, the third day insects, the fourth day, and so on. And on the seventh day, guess what they did? They rested. Yeah, funny that's now totally changed in the other Bibles, but the original Bible, which was the Book of Enoch, explains it clearly. And they came to mine gold to help their atmosphere. Yes, we think gold is valuable, but we learned it from these guys, and I'll explain how these guys are connected to us in the next video. Two of the Anunnaki that came down 450,000 years ago was Enki and Enlil. Now their stone carvings are everywhere, and ancient Sumerian, it talks about them, and these were sons of the king of Nibiru, which was Anu, and these princes are talked about, as well as everything else to do with the Anunnakis everywhere. But what they don't actually say is what race they're called. We call them Anunnaki, which means those who heaven from earth came, or other people call them princely seeds, princely sons, various descriptions, but it doesn't actually give a name for what the actual race was called, and it's not called Anunnaki. It's actually called Elohim, believe it or not. Now we think Elohim is God, but what we're really doing is, if we went to another planet ourselves and we said we're humans, they would worship humans. They would think humans is the name for God. Zecharia Sitchin covers very well why the Anunnaki needed the gold. But basically it was to sprinkle it over their own planet's atmosphere, so they were after powder gold, which 450,000 years ago they had to mine themselves. Now after a while they realised that they could probably create a worker for them from the indigenous humanoid people, shall we say, that was on the planet at the time. So they finally created, now bear in mind the Anunnaki live a lot longer than we do because of their year compared to our year. So over a couple of thousand years they eventually created the first humanoid. They did many experiments, and the first one was called Adam, which is basically in Hebrew turns out to mean human. So they took from the rib. The rib is the best place, according to our doctors, to take stem cells, etc. So then they created Eve. So I just have to address the people that asked for proof. I've already replied back to a few people, and I've mentioned, that the fact that these giant statues, which are symmetrically perfect, which dated, thousands of years BC, the Dead Sea Scrolls, the scriptures, the hieroglyphics, which were in Sumerian cuneiform, and anyway they just wrote back saying no, that makes sense, so they clearly don't. So I'm not going to bother trying to explain. So we've got elongated skulls. Now these are Anunnaki skulls. Now they're totally different from skulls that are headbound, because our skulls, human skulls, have these sutras, forgive me if I say that wrong, whereas the Anunnaki skulls do not, the ones with elongated heads. Now even the Museum of Malta has a skull, but they kept it hidden. Yeah, I wonder why. I'm running out of time. I'll talk to you on the next one. Sorry.